Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a 2017 Yukon Denali with, well, it had gotten in a fight with a deer, and I think they both lost. So we've only got a couple of days to get this thing fixed up and back to the owner. Of course, there's front end damage. There was an estimate for roughly, I think $15,000 to repair the front end, do brakes and rotors, and replace the rear Magnaride shocks. Pardon the bugs. Now, for a vehicle that was already branded prior salvage, that didn't really seem financially responsible. The owner reached out to me and said, "Hey, any chance you can help me out here?" So we're definitely gonna hook him up, take care of him for far less than the estimated cost from the dealer, because, well, I'm not a dealer. And it's kind of funny because this is also a former coworker of mine, along with the owner of the Challenger. So I'm sort of becoming a wayward home for former coworkers who need car work. Not a bad deal. Anyways, we do have a little bit of paint work to do, so I need to get this thing cleaned up, washed off. It's got road grime on it, and then we'll get up to the garage and start taking it apart. Alrighty, pardon the noise from the fan, but it's still extremely hot and humid out, and I just washed this thing, so I'm extremely hot and humid. Anyways, let's kind of go over what we're working with. Let me find a little better light first. All right, that's a little better. Black on me, black on the truck. Doesn't work too well. So, I found something pretty interesting about this, the history of this vehicle. So, stay tuned at the end and I'll give a little insight of how it kind of got here. Anyways, what we've got to do is this grill, this is toast. The active louvers behind here are toast. Actually, that was missed from the dealer's inspection, so I added that on to my estimate. The headlight, this was estimated to be replaced at about $1,700. There's a broken tab. We've fixed tabs before, we can do it again. Everything down below here, the lower valances, the fog light, let me tip you down just a little bit here. The fog light, this whole area is missing. Of course, the bumper is, well, yeah, I've seen better days. Luckily, all of our wiring appears to be here and functioning for the fog lights and for our park distance sensors. There's no errors on the dash other than one of them is obstructed because it's tucked up underneath where the fog light should be right now. So we have behind me over here a whole array of parts. We have the fog light, the new fog light bezels, the new bumper assembly, entire assembly and grille is sitting down by the shop on a pallet. All the parts we hope to put the front end of this thing back together, and on top of that we've got more. We have Rebestos brake rotors and pads to put on all four corners. The GM Magnaride rear shocks, one of them is blown, and that's going to get replaced as well. There's only about 60-some thousand miles in this vehicle, so that seemed a little odd to be problematic this early, but hey, that was one of the things the dealer wanted $1,600 for just the two shocks. I found the exact same part number. Where else? Rock Auto. For a fraction of that price, same part number, same GM original equipment over there. Otherwise, everything else here is coming from eBay Motors. Not sponsored yet, but maybe they should. There's a couple of other things to fix if we get a chance. One of the rear seats, the third row electric motor doesn't work. It just seems jammed or stuck, so we're gonna try and fix that. Needs an oil change, maybe able to do that. Trans flush, I don't think I have the ability to do that in the time we have, but we'll see. Window tint, front window is tinted and it's got a pretty dark brow tint along the top. Now, I haven't done tint in 25 years, so I don't know what's legal in Minnesota anymore, but last I knew, you couldn't legally tint the front windows. Maybe that's changed. Owner does not care for it, so if we've got the option to get that off, we're gonna take that off too. But for now, we're gonna focus on the important stuff, which is all this broken garbage up here. Well, we've got ahead and got our front end off. I did a little time lapse, not a ton because, well, it's just me taking off hardware. The important thing is take pictures when you're taking things apart so you know how it all goes back together. And I've gotten smart this time and stole some of my wife's baking tin. So I've got all of my wheel liner and front bumper parts in here. And I've got one over there with all of my headlight parts in it. And as thought, this does have broken tabs on it. 2 of the tabs are broken. We can repair them, so that's a good cost savings there. The biggest concern I've got right now is this inner fender. Let me show you. You can see there's a little bend here and a little bend down here from the deer impact, which pushed this whole corner back just a little bit, which explains why this fender itself, and that explains why this fender is pushed back into the door just a little bit, requiring a little bit of paint work. The dealer wanted to repaint everything over here, and really I'll show you after a while. It's just going to require some touch-up paint, so huge cost savings there. But yeah, this is pushed in. I can pull this back out. I've got a couple pullers, whether I hook it up to the back of the pickup or Bobcat or something. I just have to pull it back forward. It's not going to be a huge deal, and then we'll be able to move forward with reassembly. But I've got one thing left to do really up front here. That is to remove these active louvers. They're all still here, but these 3, the clips or the pins that hold them in are broken, so they are worthless. And I don't know how good of a system this thing is anyways to begin with, but with all of these pins being broken, okay, 2 of the 3 are broken. But that's not going to work. They're just going to sit here and flap around. So I've got another one of these here anyways. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bolts. That comes off. We'll put this hardware in another baking tin. And then I believe the demo up front is done. We can get to repairing this side over here and start putting things back together. Alrighty, with that piece removed, we are pretty much done with our disassembly, and that leaves a couple of issues. There's a couple of these little plastic bits here that are damaged and really cost prohibitive and more like time prohibitive due to he needs this car back in about 72 hours. So we don't have time to get those parts, and again, we're going off the parts that were quoted from the dealer. And these were not there, so likely would have been more delays back to the customer, more cost, and again, for a salvage title vehicle, this is not going to affect the drivability or the appearance. We will do our best to repair these, but the main thing is going to be getting this inner fender pulled back out. That we'll need to do correctly. So that's what we're going to work on next. I'm going to work on probably repairing that headlight, those tabs on there, and just getting these little things repaired. So we'll come back when I am ready to start reassembling stuff. Alrighty, we've got our next afternoon here working on the Yukon. I did get out earlier and managed to pull this section forward a little bit. I do have a better door gap by the driver's door now, and our hood alignment is a lot better than it was. If I can drop this down a little bit without breaking other stuff. Sure. Let me take you off the tripod so you can take a look. That was probably a 1/16 out. I wouldn't say it was as far as an 1/8, maybe an 1/8, but definitely more than a 1/16, just enough to make it look not quite right. And now it does look right. So we're gonna get back and start reassembling stuff. Alrighty, first thing on our reassembly process is gonna be these louvers for the radiator. And we did get a whole new assembly to go in here since the one that came out was damaged. That just sits right in here. Let me go find my hardware, wherever I put it. And we'll get that installed. Alrighty, we've got our bowl full of louvers, what I called lovers, spelled, yeah, I missed a U. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get this run in. All right, that is on. I did have to grab one little plastic trim, little Christmas tree thing off the old louver, because it was not included with the new one, but this is on and we're good to go. Now we can move on to, I don't know, let's work on the passenger side of headlights since that really didn't need to come off anyways. I'm gonna get that put on, and then I'm gonna grab, I wanna grab the bumper itself. Bumper cover, that's outside in the pallet, so I wanna grab that, bring that in here, and we'll take a look at that too. Well, I've gotten the other parts off the old bumper, the passenger side fog light, the wiring harness. I did save the old GMC blackout logo. I don't know that we're gonna be able to use it on this grill. It's not quite the right fit, and it looks like it was haphazardly put on there with a couple of sheet metal screws, so not sure that's what we want to do. I noticed when I put the headlight back in, even before, the hood seemed to sit kind of low, so I adjusted that. That fits where it should now. Had pictures of another one with no damage on it, so I've used it as a point of reference. So that is good to go. Just give things back a little better than what you found them. Anyways, we have our big pallet here from the good old eBay Motors. And this should be, if I can make the knife work, a new complete front and bumper assembly with the park distance sensors. Now, what is complete? I don't know. We have the grille in here. We know the chrome grille. I don't know if it has any of the other under supporting structures. So we'll see what I've got to take off. The other one, and then I know I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes here, A, for daycare pickup, and 2, run to the parts store to grab a couple of 8 and 10 mil bolts for the fender liner on this side here, which are on the other missing part from the Deer Strike. But let's just try and get this thing uncovered quick. I will say this sure was packaged well. No, the last bumper I got for the BMW was shoved in a box without really any padding or protection. So it's nice to see this. This is one heck of a crate. In here appears to be one nice, correct grill with the GMC logo on it. And if I can get the bumper itself out of here. Okay. Well, everything is out of there. The bumper looks great. Everything looks like it's here. I just I've just got to grab a tally of a couple pieces of hardware I need, run off to the store quick, and then when I come back, hopefully we'll start transferring everything over to the new bumper assembly. Our old bumper has parts we've got to pull off yet. We've got this piece here, kind of a little valance thing underneath. I've got a new one for the driver's side. These black brackets need to come off. This assembly comes off. The fog light trim bezel, we have a new pair of those, so I'm not really concerned about that. This piece, I've got a new one of those, so I'm not worried about that either. Grill, of course, is shot. Looks like he was held in with drywall screws. And then pick out the parking sensors right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start tearing stuff out of here. I mean, if you've watched the BMW series, my X5, you've seen me do this at least once. So I'm just gonna take stuff apart and we will regroup when I start to put this new bumper back together. Well, we've got the parts stripped off the old bumper that we're gonna reuse. And we've got new parts, we've got new fog light bezels. We do have one of these new, whatever you want to call them, valance covers, whatever. Goes in here, something like this. We do have a new one of these clips that goes underneath. The other one was damaged, so we're going to replace that. They're like $7, so it doesn't make sense to spend $8 to return it. We have our one of our two lower valance pieces that goes on the front, and in here is where the license plate affixes to, so I've got to figure out and mount where that goes on there. And then I've also got the other larger lower valance here in addition to the grill that goes on. But for now, I'm going to start kind of putting some of these bigger pieces in, the fog lights, the bezels, and some of these pieces, then we can flip it over, put the other stuff on from the front side. So, just going to kick in a little music here and get it moving. A little delay. We had supper. Wife made Italian dunkers, and if you remember those from elementary school, junior high, whatever it was you were a kid, those were fantastic, but these were awesome. Anyways, we're back, and what I did is, for those couple of the one broken tab on either side, I took my little Plasti Weld thing, did that, add a little drop of JB Weld, Plasti Weld on there just for good measure, just to make sure things don't go anywhere. not worry, just take that extra step, especially where that tab broke off. So now what I want to do is take our fog lights and put those back in. This is the one that came on the vehicle. I've got one over there in a baggie that hopefully matches up for our driver's side. Let's take a look. Well, there's a lot of plastic wrap on that. Holy cow. Anyways, I have a pair. I do need to get I have the bulb in the wiring harness over there, so that's good news. This has a bulb, that's even better news. They both look in great shape. This, actually the used one I bought looks a little better than the one on the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in. I'm thinking I bought some of these screws here at the store, and I may not have bought quite enough. I bought about 14 of them. Thinking that was enough, and I can always run back and get more. But let's put these in. Actually, before I do that, let me take a look at this lower valance and see if it includes them or not. And it does not. But we can at least take it out of the bag. It's been suffocating for a while. There we go. All right, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these little clips I need to go extract. Then we can work on assembling this piece. Then these pieces can go in. Then I can safely put on my wiring harness for the parking sensors, the fog lights. Then we can work on getting our grill installed and then onto the vehicle. Well, I forgot to hit the record button again. Anyways, I've started getting this thing assembled, that bottom valance here, and going pretty well. Just got to make sure we get these little clips in the right spot. This one is not. No big deal though. One size fits most. Just as long as, again, you get these clips where they're supposed to go. I mean, preferably on the right side of the metal would be, the right side of the trim would be helpful. But I guess these are just suggestions. Anyways, I've got to align this a little bit. It's got to shift this way about a 1/16 of an inch. This peg will fit in here. And you can kind of see what I'm doing. We're just working my way around. I started in the middle, working my way out, and then we'll have this thing lower valance. All the plastics will be on, I think. Yep, I'm out of plastic parts, except for the grill. So, like I said, we'll get this on, parking sensors, wiring harness, grill on the Yukon. Where were we? Yes, getting the rest of our harness hooked up here. We've got our park distance sensors. One remaining left from the old bumper. But the good news is they all still work. This one's a little scuffed up. Try and get that cleaned up before I put it back on the vehicle. But these here, you know, yeah, probably not the same ones that go on the Ford. That'd be too easy. Now this plug here is a little damaged, so I'm going to see if it'll still work. If not, we'll go ahead and de-pin it and get a different plug on it, but I think it should still clip in place. At least that's my hope. Yep. We'll double check it works and put it all back together, but hopefully it does. Then we just have this last one here to deal with. So yeah, we are ready to look at getting the grill on. We've got a couple more of these little trees to put in here, here, ow, it's my finger, and here. Let's unbox that grill and see what it looks like. Definitely well protected and looks really good. So let's take a look on how this thing fits on here exactly. And I believe the easiest thing for us to do is going to be to flip the whole bumper assembly over. Nope, it flips in from the top. There we go. All right, I've got two tabs here. I've still got to get it set in place, but let me get these back two little supports in first. Then we'll go ahead and get this thing hung on the car. Our bumper is assembled. All the parts are on here. These little side flare, I don't know what you call them, but more stuff bolts to them underneath, so I guess they're important. Grill is in, fog lights, wiring harness, our two front headlights are in. So I guess that brings us up to hanging this thing on the car now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolt points up front and a couple of pegs that it holds into. So I'm going to pull the table back and see if we can get to hanging this thing. There are two seats here that match up with these guys right here. So these have to also go into these little pockets. So be mindful of that, and we'll just ignore that dragonfly. He's along for the ride. Not sure how long he's been there, but he's gonna stay there. Probably a job better suited for two people, but there's only one of me. It's not that heavy, it's just big and unruly. Everything appears to fit right about where it should. Now I do still have to take this off again, put the license plate bracket on. Easiest to do when I can see the holes from behind. But let's just see how this fits with the hood. Loosely. Headlight gap over here is acceptable. Headlight gap over here, that's pretty well spot on. Remember, this was kind of pushed back and in, and right now it lines up with the fender on both sides just like it should. And I think if we slam the hood down, it's going to be good to go. But yeah, that looks a lot better. So we're going to take this thing off one last time, transfer the license plate mount from the old bumper onto this one right here. We'll get it set back on the vehicle. A little dusty. Now we're going to get washed anyways, I hope. Like I said, transfer the license plate holder, put it back on the vehicle, then we'll get the rest of our hardware buttoned up. Well, everything here is buttoned up in the front with the exception of replacing the wheel liner over here. I am doing a brake service on this vehicle as well, so I will do that at the same time because to make it easiest, it's best to take off the wheel, especially these are big wheels and there's some smaller tolerances to get between the wheel and the wheel liner to get a driver in there to remove the little 8mm heads. So last thing to do here is put our little plastic caps back in. Everything else here is buttoned up. We've got our license plate bracket back on, and close the hood. We're good to go. All of our gaps here line up pretty well. You can adjust this. There's a little bit of a gap over here compared to that side, so I can adjust this up just a hair. And then we're looking good. Like I said, I've got to put in these tabs on both sides and button her up. So, not as comprehensive of a video as we sometimes do. We've got a time limit here, so I've got some more projects to do with this before it goes back to the owner. So for now, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Hit that like button below, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hopefully we'll soon be getting back down to the shop. So, till the next video, have fun doing what you're doing, and we'll see you later.